Hi folks, it's Larry Talks. It is April 29th, 2020, the middle of the coronavirus. That's why we got time to do this. Today's program, Larry Talks, is unusual. It's 10 ships that made history. It's also the 10 models that I made over a lifetime. A lot of them have been thrown out, but the 10 that survive are looking for a good home. And that's these 10 historic models. Most of them still exist. The USS Constitution, 1812, I made a model of this and Mom threw it out when I went to college, so it's all gone. However, the model I'm making right now is the same style. This is the HMS Victory. By the way, it's so interesting. All these ships are still existing. The one you just saw, the Constitution, sits in Boston Bay. You can go see it. It's owned by the Navy shipyard. This one, the HMS Victory, it's all paper, is in Portsmouth, England, and I'm building it. I'm going to do all the deck work. I don't think I'll put on the mast. This will be the last one I'll ever do. I'm 80 years old. This is the front, and the USS Constitution is very much like this. Only it has one row of guns, and it has a beautiful, what do you call, captain's cabin. And that's the HMS Victory. 1815, the Battle of Trafalgar. Lord Nelson died there and won the battle for England. The second ship, let's see, so that's, the second one is the J.P. Morgan. This one I built in 1970 and is the only model I ever totally completed. It is a whaling ship. I know it looks like it has gun ports, but those are not gun ports. They are ways that the sailors can see the ship in the fog. So they went out on those lifeboats, and I made this from plans, 1,000 hours. Every detail is there. It's completed. It sits in a glass case normally, but I brought it downstairs so you could see it. The J.P. Morgan, 1850, sits in Mystic Harbor, I think in Connecticut. And third ship is His Majesty's ship, the Titanic. I used to show this every day when I began my college course with my students and said, technology can go awry. They always said, well, there weren't enough lifeboats. 1,500 people died because there weren't enough lifeboats on the ship. Not true. The lifeboats all left half full. They could have saved everybody on the ship, but why they didn't? Same reason we're in trouble about the coronavirus. Oh, it will never hurt us. We're Americans, or whatever. We're English. And so it did. What a beautiful, beautiful ship, huh? The Titanic, 1912, went down on its maiden voyage. The next ship, my father went to World War I. I got to show you this picture. Here's Dad. Isn't he the cutest sailor you could ever want to see? That's Dad in 1918. Young man. And he was a merchant marine, and he went on a ship like this to Europe. But the war ended on his way there, so they turned around and he came back. This reminds me of the ship that's in King Kong. Very, very similar. This is cool. Look at all the detail on this. God, this is probably a $3 or $5 model. All paper. And the kind of ship the merchant marines went to Europe on in World War I. So this would be 1918. The next ship, well, the most important ships of World War II were aircraft carriers. I don't know what this one is. Not very complete. And I don't even think it's American. I think it's English. Aircraft carriers won World War II for us, especially at the Battle of Midway, where 150 of our brave men died in planes to save our lives. We sunk 4 aircraft carriers that day, and that made all the difference in World War II, because what it meant was I'm here. Because I was in San Francisco at the time, born 1940, lived through the war. The Japanese wanted to bomb San Francisco. We had 3 ship places there. And Sausalito, they're still there. Sausalito, the Fisherman's Wharf, and south, I can't remember now. But the ship that's still, the great victory ships, helped win the war, carrying stuff across the oceans. The Jeremiah O'Brien is the last surviving victory ship. Sits in San Francisco Bay down near the Fisherman's Wharf. You can go see it for a couple bucks. All these volunteers, merchant marines, which my father was, take care of this ship, and they'll show it to you. Kind of unsung heroes of World War II. Jeremiah O'Brien, 1942. The next ship, the most important of all. The San Francisco cruiser fought in the Battle of Leyte Gulf. 250 American sailors died on this ship fighting in Leyte Gulf. And the ship was not sunk, came back to San Francisco, and they dismantled it. And the bow of the ship sits atop Sutro Baths. That is at the Sutro Mansion up above Sutro and the Cliff House in San Francisco. You need to go up there and pay your respects to these men. Why? Because the West Coast was not bombed in World War II because of the sacrifices made at Midway and Leyte Gulf. 150 airmen were lost on June 2nd, 1942 at Midway. However, in the last 5 minutes of the battle, boom, 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 we sunk 4 battleships. 4 aircraft carriers, I'm sorry. The next ship, the Big Mo battleships. The Missouri was chosen for the signatures of the end of World War II for the Japanese surrender. Because the president was from the state of Missouri, and the battleships were named after states, and Truman came from Missouri, so that's why this ship was so famous. It is now at Pearl Harbor. It still exists. It's still commissioned. Isn't it? I mean, all these ships still exist. And you know, tremendous cost to maintain them, but the Navy owns these. Sailors man it and take care of it. And I think nothing could be a more appropriate memorial to the soldiers who sacrificed their lives to save the West Coast in World War II and to save my ass. Save me. The Queen Mary in 1935, but in 1942 it carried troops to Europe from New York. The Queen Mary is now owned by Long Beach and is a hotel, and you can go stay there overnight and see it. So I'm looking to give all these ships a good home. You want to give a ship a good home? As I say, the Battle of Midway, 1942, saved my life. And 150 airmen gave up their lives so that I could live. And I would like to give these ships away in memory of those men. We should never forget, especially the San Francisco. I mean, I learned about this stuff so recently, the history. You can learn about Midway on YouTube, by the way. Just look up Battle of Midway and you'll get 10, 15-minute programs. Okay, that's it. You can respond to Larry Talks at Larry, Larry .Moorman, Moorman, at AOL.com. I'm looking to give these ships away eventually. Not the Morgan, that's worth $3,000 because it's complete, it's a collector. But all these other things aren't even finished. There's little details undone, so they're basically worthless. But of course they're not worthless to me, and they're not worthless to history, because all of them still held the Titanic at the bottom. But the Morgan, the Victory, the vow of the San Francisco, the Victory ship Jeremiah O'Brien, the Missouri, all exist. Okay, that's it. 10 ships that changed history. 10 models that Larry Moorman made over a lifetime. I'm 80 years old, and I want to give my models a good home. They're all made of paper except the Morgan. Yep, they're all made of paper. Okay, that's it. Larry Talks, April 28th,